Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. What was it, last year, maybe the year before? A winter storm hit Texas. Well, kinda hard to call it a real winter storm. It snowed in Texas and it looked like this. And of course, this is what the real aftermath of a winter storm looks like. But anyways, it snowed in Texas, a weather anomaly. Clearly, Texas doesn't exactly have the infrastructure to deal with this kind of thing. To escape the winter storm and bring his family on a trip to Mexico. Pretty bad timing, no one's gonna argue any of that, but the outrage from the left was immense. I mean, based on the outrage, you'd think that Ted Cruz is father nature, that the storm was directly his fault and all the people that were lost, because I think 29 people died if I'm not mistaken. Well, based on the leftist outrage, you would believe that the individuals who perished during that storm, it didn't happen to them because of a weather anomaly. Ted Cruz murdered them.
Here's your word, here's your word.
I was murdered.
You were murdered. Okay,
It was the biggest of big deals. Everyone kept going on and on and on and on about how much of a bad person Ted Cruz is, and how he should be condemned, how he should resign, and how everything was his fault. Even though he's not the governor of Texas, he's a senator. But anyways, we know the standard, or at least the double standard, because of course, as you guys are following, another deadly winter storm hits multiple states. And would you look at that? Two high-profile Democrats, the mayor of New York City, and guess what? The president of the United States decided it would be a perfect time, great timing, to head to the Caribbean. Considering how much of a big deal it was when Ted Cruz did it, I'm paying attention and I'm trying to find the leftist outrage. I'm listening really closely here. Yep, of course, the double standard, the hypocrisy, rules for thee, but not for me. Let me show you guys what's going on. Let's get into it, folks. Let's roll the tape. Biden heads to St. Croix as winter blast kills dozens, cancels 10,000 flights. President Joe Biden left the White House Tuesday night for a tropical vacation in St. Croix to bring in the new year, as much of the country deals with extreme cold and snowfall that has killed at least 65 people and canceled 10,000 flights since Christmas Eve. The 80-year-old commander-in-chief will bask in the Caribbean sun near an in-ground pool at a 3-bedroom beachfront villa with sweeping views on the largest of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Meanwhile, travel chaos, widespread power outages, and rising deaths caused by single-digit weather continues across the Mideast and East Coast, but especially in western New York, where at least 32 people died in Buffalo's Erie County amid more than 4 feet of snow. It's unclear who owns the vacation property or whether Biden will be paying for his stay. Yeah, right. It's another one of those slick campaign contributions, though he has a long record of staying for free at houses of wealthy Democratic donors. The homeowner declined to identify themselves or disclose whether Biden will pay when contacted through the real estate company that handles leasing. And now look, stories like these, for the most part, I'll be honest, I don't really care. I'm not the one who's going to be condemning Joe Biden for going on vacation with his family for the new year. Of course not. I don't care. I'd probably do the same thing. But it's more the leftist hypocrisy of it all. Because you know, if Donald Trump did this, it'd be the biggest friggin' deal. When Ted Cruz did this, it was the friggin' end of the world. And that right there is what I find frustrating. There is no consistent standard when it comes to the left-wing mob. It's rules for thee, but not for me. And that I find incredibly frustrating. The constant hypocrisy of it all. You know, I'm not a hypocrite on this issue. Not only am I not really calling Joe Biden out, because like I said, I don't care, but I didn't defend or really condemn Ted Cruz at the time of that whole ordeal. Again, I just don't care. All I really care about is the manipulative tactics that the left uses, and just the ideological inconsistency of it all. I mean, Ted Cruz is a Texas senator. He's a lawmaker. He votes on legislation and presents legislation. He's not the governor or in charge of disaster relief like Greg Abbott and other state officials. But it was the biggest deal when he took his family to Mexico. Now you have the commander-in-chief, and of course Pete Buttigieg, both of which seem totally MIA, as 10,000 flights are canceled and as people are literally losing their lives during a devastating winter storm, and we don't hear a peep from the left because they're dishonest partisan goons. You know, I think it's a great question. We know where Joe Biden is. Where in the heck is Pete Buttigieg, Mr. Transportation Secretary? And where's the outrage when it comes to Mayor Eric Adams? New York City Mayor Eric Adams defends Virgin Islands trip as city prepared for a winter storm.
Every mayor traveled away. I deserve private time. I'm a believer of that. I deserve to walk out of a building without a reporter hiding behind a flower pot, without someone following me. I deserve a moment to really de-escalate. And there will be many days that my body and my mind is going to tell me, Eric, you need to get away. Nowhere in the city charter does it state I have to report to the New York City press where my whereabouts are. And I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to apologize for having the mental and physical capacity that's needed to do the second most difficult job in politics in America. All of you who cover me in the press, you know what time my days start, you know what time they end. You tell me another mayor that has had that level of work that I have.
Again, I don't care. There's probably some qualified people to do the job while he's gone, but I'm just waiting for the leftist outrage. How could you possibly abandon us during this time, Eric? I was murdered, Eric. The weather is your fault, Eric. But of course, like usual from these absolutely disingenuous leftoids, not a single friggin' word. There is no more dishonest, disingenuous, vicious, partisan group out there. It doesn't exist. You know, they point the finger constantly. Donald Trump colluded with the Russians. Then it turns out that Hillary Clinton's campaign actually colluded with a Russian spy to fabricate this narrative that Donald Trump was a Manchurian candidate. It turns out that actually your candidate colluded with the Russians, but the whole colluding with Russia thing really only matters if Donald Trump's involved, or supposedly involved and definitely not involved. It's just one big massive lie. Donald Trump tried blackmailing the Ukrainians to get dirt on Joe Biden. He must be impeached. Even though Donald Trump didn't exactly do that at all. Meanwhile, Joe Biden literally blackmailed the Ukrainians into firing a prosecutor that was investigating his son by threatening to withhold defense aid. But of course, there's only outrage when Donald Trump does it. It's endless on every single friggin' issue. The rules only apply if you have an R next to your name. I mean, the party that's constantly lecturing us about privilege, it seems as though the only privilege that really exists is Democrat privilege. The constant sanctimony and virtue signaling and faux outrage, the constant hypocrisy, it's all just so insufferable. It's the perfect word. The modern left is so incredibly insufferable, so disingenuous. The double standards are just infuriating. Actually, here's the perfect example. CNN Politics reports, the Bidens make an island escape ahead of consequential 2024 announcement. Could you imagine what that headline would be if it was Donald Trump? Evil Hitler terrorist Donald Trump abandons America during deadly winter storm that kills millions. He's a literal murderer as he heads to the Virgin Islands to plan his insurrection. Obviously, I'm being hyperbolic, but you get the point. It's all just so annoying. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for it. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.